All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the NeQter Labs June edition of our monthly town hall. Just going to give it another minute or two to let as many people join as possible. Um, from there, as you can see from Patrick's opening slide, we will be reviewing the update that came out yesterday, 219.0. I know we did kind of a preliminary review of that last month, but we're just going to go over everything again. Answer any questions at the end that you guys might have, as always, and feel free to pause us at any time with a question if we're going over something and you have a question about what Patrick is going through. Pat, I will pass the mic over to you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hey, everybody. Hopefully, with June and all, it's not too hot yet as we get into the summer solstice and really get into the heat of summer. I was actually going over my slides from last time and did cover quite a fair portion of some of the things that we were going to have with this with the coming update 219. And as I'm sure many of you saw yesterday, had it go live. So 219.0 is the latest and greatest. So we'll just be covering, might have a short webinar today, just covering some of the new things that we added, and just doing some Q&A. Usually we have a section where we cover upcoming shows, but the next show for us is going to be probably August time frame. So didn't really have anything for the month of June or July to talk about just yet. But when it comes to 219, we had a couple nice additions when it comes to reports. Namely, we have a new detailed vulnerability report. And because we had gotten questions a lot about one of the biggest things that we're focusing in on this new report system is making sure that if there's some good or interesting data in other parts of the tool, we want it to be continually more and more centralized within NeQter. NeQter features, NeQter areas, especially the new reports function. So one of the things that we hadn't had already in the new reports was some certain data types from the vulnerability scanner, wherein you can go to the vulnerability scanner and access in the each task or each task report some of the things, namely like applications or services or available ports, stuff like that. So we wanted to carry that into the reports area, which we did now with the detailed vulnerability report. So you're going to be able to schedule, but also have on-demand reports from the vulnerability scanner. What this report will do is this will pull the latest report data for all tasks and carry this into the report upon generation. So you'll be able to specify from a severity standpoint if you want to see high and medium and low, but also log and error level severities for vulnerability data. Because as we know, vulnerabilities are important, but then there's also additional data which we want to see, and that's what this report is going to capture. So we're able to look at the different severities, but we can also specify different data sets. So if you just wanted a services list, for example, you can do that. And actually, let me just so here's some pictures I had of the detailed vulnerability report, but I'm actually going to also pull up one where I recently generated it so we can kind of see it a bit more live. So for the detailed vulnerability report, just zoom this in a little bit, we're going to be able to see all applications detected from the vulnerability side, from the networking side. We can also see things that we had before, such as host information, as well as most vulnerable hosts, most frequent vulnerabilities. But now we can also grab all services and ports available on the different systems. So we can grab that in that new report, and that's just going to be in the on-demand reports area, as well as in the reports tool where we can schedule those additional reports. So that's one of them. A couple others that we recently added include, I just skip past this because we just looked at this in Excel. One of the things that we added was some enhancements to the compliance tool, namely when it comes to tasks, we're able to now assign owners to tasks. So this was a question that we got quite a bit. People wanted to see, all right, well, I have an owner for the control, sure, but if I assign a task, I might own the control, but I have other people on my team. Or, perfect example is some of the ones that aren't IT related. Maybe it's around personnel security, maybe it's around awareness and training, and you need to assign tasks for those different assessment objectives. Now you can add an owner. So the owner does require, you are required to have a user account within NeQter for that owner. Of course, with the different levels of users, you can have a read-only user only accessing the compliance tab. So that would be perfect for anyone that you don't want to have read-write to any of the other tools. You could just give them a read-only access to compliance, and then you can assign that user a task. So with that new tasking, or rather with that new report, compliance task report, we can select a certain SSP. So if you have multiple system security plans, you'll be able to select one, and you could generate and run the report for just to see, all tasks, all priorities, all statuses. We could run this report in HTML. So with this particular SSP, I just have a single task, and I have it assigned to me. But the nice thing with the scheduling with the reports is, if we wanted to make a new schedule and we wanted to have that compliance task report, we wanted it to be monthly and HTML, but we only wanted it to go to an individual user, we can do that. So if we wanted to kick out, send this to my email specifically, and have a compliance task report, give it a custom schedule name, and just set it for me, I can now set this up every month. I'm going to get an email with only my tasks that I have to do. And now when I set this up, no hyphen, when I set this up, I'm now going to receive that in my inbox. I can get a kind of marching orders of what to do now. So that's that new task report. When it comes to the compliance area, let me just show you. It's just a simple drop down that we've added. So if I go to section 311A, that's where I can add a task in here. We now have this owner drop down under this description, and I can select the task owner. So that's what that new report looks like, with the new ability to add task owners. And if I go back to here, just say I put in a gobbledygook task and give it a due date and hit save. Now, if I go to the POEM under manage, I go to POEM. I have all the tasks listed here. Now we have owner, and we can group by owner. That's one of the filters now that we can take a look at. So that's that enhancement there with the compliance tool task owners, and now with that that new task report. So when I have multiple tasks, and this was a view that I didn't see just because I only had that singular task, but we're going to get a summary at the top here that I can see if I have multiple system security plans, and then I have multiple tasks under those plans. It's going to summarize each plan and then give me a summary of the task status. So what's to do, what's in progress, what's completed, if there's any ones that are coming up, and if there are any ones that are overdue. And then it's going to summarize those tasks underneath. So for smaller companies where you might have one SSP, you're not going to get all that specificity. But for larger companies, or if you're managing multiple plans for different companies, this is really going to be valuable to break that all down for you to take a look at. The next one that we have is also going to be for the compliance tool. And this is going to be a compliance change report where it's going to summarize all of the changes and all of the, before and after values. Basically, instead of just having the change log localized under each SSP in the tool, we can now break this out, have a compliance change report. So every month you can see, what was changed, what was updated based upon, and it is SSP specific. So if you're maintaining multiple SSPs, you're going to be able to break that out or receive individual emails. If there's different owners for each SSP, you can send one SSP's change report to one owner, the one to the other, have someone receive both. And it's going to summarize the user, the action type. Of course, it's going to have it timestamped, and it's going to have those before and after values. So that's what that one looks like. It's over here in the on-demand reports. It's also going to be available to us in the scheduling. So if I go and I look at the last 1 month and I have this in HTML, I can see, there were no changes to this particular system security plan. If I go right now and make a change and set this as implemented for this plan right here, I run this again, we should see that change, particularly for this plan. So I just went in here, I just did that, just happened, old value, new value, and what changed. So HTML, all these reports, they have HTML, it has that nice format. You can, if you wanted to, do it in Excel as well, or in JSON, but the HTML report is really nice. So that's those 3 new reports. Now we have them in 2.19. It's released. You can get these going, get these generating. So that's what we have. That's what we have for that. Additionally, and of course, I'm just going to keep this slide in here in perpetuity because these were a few of these reports were requested by clients, by you guys. So we appreciate it. And of course, if we release a report and you're like, well, actually, I want this data point, or I'd love to have a column that has this so I can organize it by X, Y, Z. Also existing reports tell us if how we can improve them if we can. And of course, if there's any new report ideas that you guys have, let us know. Reports are just structuring different queries that we can run. So they're very easy to build out and get out to you. And outside of those new reports, we talked about this last time. It's in here in Live Now. We recently added in Prevail integration for into NeQter. It's going to be in the settings, within the under the inputs. It's going to be a syslog integration. So as I had mentioned last time, there's two ways that you can go about it with Prevail. You can either, and I think you have to ask, I think that's because we got some questions last time on it, not being an option, but I think you have to go and ask, hey, can I please get the SIM connector VM? You ask the Prevail team, so you can self-host it if you have the resources in which to do so. So you can just spin up a light VM and establish that connector to pull from your Prevail instance, and then it will export out syslog, which you'll point to NeQter, and then add that syslog connector for NeQter. That's option A. Option B is to request to get logs set up from Prevail. And if you don't have the infrastructure to run your own, that SIM connector VM self-hosted, you can request Prevail and say, hey, I'd like you guys to host this, or they have a partner that does that. So you'll have to engage with them, say, hey, I would like logs from my Prevail instance, please. And then they'll kind of coordinate that. Either or, wherever that connector is going to be hosted, it's going to be pushing syslog. So once that's set up, point it right to NeQter, and you'll just be able to go into settings, inputs, and then select the new syslog input, select Prevail from the dropdown. Once that's all established, once that's all hooked up, you're going to be able to populate the Prevail dashboard that we have, where you're going to be able to see outcomes, severity levels, user actions, as well as admin events. So it's just going to be this Prevail all activity dashboard. I fortunately don't have latest and greatest events in here. I have a snippet of a couple approval requests. But anytime there's an admin change to Prevail, or user permissions gets changed, it's going to get tracked. Also, whatever users send and receive and open, that's going to get tracked as an outcome, as an action. You'll be able to see all of the different users within the environment. And then every time that an event transpires, much like everything else that we have in the tool, you're going to be able to grab the original, the event.original. You'll always have that. It gets parsed out, and then you'll be able to visualize it on the dashboard. One of the things with Prevail, because we are able to see the IP logs aren't too interesting, because by the way that Prevail natively works, a lot of it is reliant on kind of the local loopback address of the different agents. So there's going to just be a bunch of 127.0.0.1 logs. But you are going to be able to see users and outcomes and severity levels as designated by their logs. So you'll be able to visualize that. And then, of course, if you want to set up alerts for it, you can. If you want to set up a custom report, you're able to do that as well. So that's tied into here. Again, it's going to be under settings, under inputs. So I'll be able to see. So when you go and you add an input, select from Prevail from the dropdown, source IP and a label. And then, of course, going into the dashboards area and making sure that we enable that dashboard. And it's as simple as that. So we're able to get those logs, and that's what that integration looks like. And then we had some of those recent reports get added in, and that's what we're essentially going to be looking at for this update. So a light update for sure, but a lot of useful stuff that we've added, and we have some more reports and more things down the pipe. But kind of a short, succinct webinar today. Of course, we're going to open up the floor to any questions that anyone has, and of course, want to see if Nick has any things that he's seen that he thinks would be good to be brought up on today's webinar. While we're waiting for questions, Nick, is there anything that you can think of that you've been dealing with or come across with in your different meetings?
Nothing in particular that I can think of that would be like a common issue or like a not like specific issue that I've been dealing with anyone. Mostly what I've been tackling lately, and if anyone needs additional help with this, please reach out. Is creating saved searches and various custom reports to pull different types of data out in a report format. So if anyone has questions in regards to how to set up specific saved searches or run specific types of reports, email me or call me. I'd be happy to walk you through setting up whatever you need. But as far as common things, Pat, I unfortunately have nothing for you this month.
Yeah, I think a lot of focus, especially as we focused on it, is the new reports feature and seeing, how we can kind of harness the power of those reports. Are there custom reports or common custom reports that people are making that could go into a formal NeQter supported report? So, there's definitely been a lot of questions on that. So I see we got a question, was wondering if it was going to come up. So I'm glad I asked the team. So there's a question from Nick here. In order to capture data in this new version, does the agent manager need to be updated to the 2.19 version, or can the 2.15 agent manager still work for now? So in terms of, and we were actually just discussing this internally, one of the things that we might do, or I kind of want to see, is if we sometimes nestle the agent updates in the change log, but I think it would be good probably to have maybe a separate change log, or just a specific mention of, hey, there's this agent that kind of coincides with this NeQter update, and here's what that means, and here's what this agent does. So what I can answer is, the 2.15 agent, and I actually just tested this out because I wanted to see, well, so the 2.15 agent still is working great. It's still supported, and we're still able to pull in logs successfully from those agents. We're still able to, so if I just kind of full screen this here, if you notice, a majority of the agents that I have on my demo system, I've gotten a little behind. I need to update the agents on my system here, and I actually still have this one here, 2.11.1, and it's still successfully pulling in metrics, hardware and software, as well as, of course, the agent's installed and is getting its marching orders of what events to pull. So this agent is on 2.11.5, and the version of the agent, and is still successfully pulling in. The reason I haven't updated the different agents on my demo is because they're still working, just fine. I know that's not a good answer, but it's my answer. So 2.15.0 is still good. I actually just recently on one of my home PCs updated to Windows 11. I was still clinging with all my might to Windows 10, and I just put on. So we do have the version 2.18, which actually added a couple things, which I'll cover here. But we recently believe last week, or had a soft launch of our 219 agent. And what 218 and 219 are going to allow us to do is there's a couple different additional data points that we're able to grab that you will not be able to pull with the version 215.0. Those two things being TPM information. So we added a new hardware item under hardware TPM, so we can see all of the TPM information for that PC. That's going to be exceptionally valuable for users who might still be on Windows 10 and need to update to Windows 11. And of course, one of the requirements for Windows 11 is having a TPM present or a compatible TPM present. So by updating the 218 to spread it out to all your Windows 10 systems, you'll be able to see and summarize which systems have the TPM you need to update to 11. So that's the use case for that. So that's one thing that you can do with version 218. And then one of the additional things that you're going to be able to do with 218, 219 is going to be able to pull available ports or open ports on agent assets. We kind of had it where, which is something that we don't want to do. We want to have continuity across the whole tool. When you use the vuln scanner and you had an unknown host, you're able to see, okay, well, which ports are available. But it's also useful to see open ports for inventoried assets. So that was an enhancement that was added with the agent. So in summation, 215 still is tried and true and works fine. It's not going to work fine for Windows 11. You're going to have to update to the newer versions, and you're going to be missing out on these two additional data points that you can get for hardware. Outside of that, still is going to be logging. Still, metrics are going to work fine. Still is going to be pulling inventory, hardware, software. So hopefully that answers that question there. I see there's another question here from Kevin. Any thoughts on the long-term idea of a community library of NeQter limited support add-ons like OS connectors, reports, etc.? So I hope I'm understanding the question surrounding. I guess the questions around having either in the tool or a kind of a community outside of the tool. When it comes to a community outside of the tool, I've actually been building out, which I know a lot of members here are on the CUI Discord and the NIST and CMMC Discord. So one of the things that NeQter is going to be doing is adding or creating a NeQter specific Discord community where people can talk more NeQter all the time and share maybe even queries or searches or reports that they're running. And we can kind of community source or crowdsource different ideas or see if we can get stuff into NeQter official. So that's definitely on the long-term roadmap. In terms of having a community library or sourced content within NeQter proper, or having a library within the NeQter software, that needs to be seen. I don't think that was something that we had planned. I know that there are a lot of different areas of flexibility we're going to gain when we move to version 3 and have OpenSearch as the foundation of the tool rather than currently Elastic. So official kind of in the tool needs to be seen, but outside of the tool, having a community, definitely something that we're going to have more formalized in the short term. And I see that I answered that question, and unfortunately Kevin left, so I'll have to get to him later with my answer.
He's still here, but it was he
okay. Oh, okay, good. Hopefully that answers the question, or the intended question that was asked. Yeah, so Kevin that added a comment of yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of users that we kind of refer to as super users or power users of NeQter, and definitely of course the basis of the tool, or at least the sim side of the tool, is based upon queries and searches. So the more intelligent queries and searches that are created, they can easily be ported or added into the search or the searches library. And again, those are the basis of what the reports are built upon, as well as the dashboards, as well as alerts. So absolutely, that piece is going to be shortly supported. I found a couple people to help me get that Discord set up. So so that is going to be something coming out for the summertime for sure. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. We always get lots of great ideas from the community, via email and other methods right now. But definitely having a more live or continuous conversation, I think will have a lot of value. Any additional questions that we could answer today? Had a kind of a couple heavy hitters at the end there. Definitely will leave a couple minutes to get those questions typed out if anyone has any.
All right. Looks like that might be all the questions we're going to get for today's webinar. So we will give everyone back the rest of the hour. I hope everyone has an excellent rest of the month and enjoys the nice weather coming in. Hopefully we all have phenomenal summers, and we will see you guys again next month.
Oh, well, actually, let me just jump in. I think we'll have to we'll have to move it a week. I believe, right? Since we're looking at week July 4th. So we'll look to kick the next month to July 9th, I think, because I know quite a few people leave during that first week. So we'll look to just change for next month. Another change that we might have is looking at the hosting software that we use. We might move away from GoToWebinar, but we'll tackle that in future. But just want to say we're probably going to look to move next month to July 9th. So just wanted to jump in and add that before I forgot.
All right. I think that pretty much does it. We will see you guys all on the 9th then. Have an excellent rest of your day.